we will go deep into the realm of the unknown and question everything as we search for the truth. We will explore the possibility of countless phenomena within the ultra spectrum, and together we will learn that it is all connected. This podcast is brought to you by the Experiencers Support Association, and it is a live stream broadcast. If you have a question, send me a super chat or become a YouTube member. This podcast is brought to you by the Experiencers Support Association. Take a seat, relax, get ready, and welcome to Beyond the TinFoil Hat.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Beyond the TinFoil Hat. Today is Thursday, August 17, 2023, and I, Ryan Stacey, am your host this evening. I'm a licensed private investigator in Ontario, and I apply my skills to the UFO, paranormal, and conscious phenomenon as the Director of Investigations for the Experiencers Support Association. Welcome to the channel, and thank you for joining us. For those who are already YouTube members or thinking of becoming one, remember that you get priority over the questions. You also get behind-the-scenes extended footage, bloopers, and access to members-only programs. All you have to do is click the big blue button that says join, and while you were there, hit that bell so you can be notified when all members of the Experiencers Support Association release their latest content. Okay, let's get the party started. Our guest for Season 5, Episode 8 is Ismael Perez. Perez stands as a celebrated figure in the captivating realms of cosmic exploration, alien phenomenon, artificial intelligence, and historical analysis. As the core of Ismael's expertise lies his best-selling book, Our Cosmic Origin, where Ismael unveils the mysteries of our shared cosmic heritage, igniting a newfound wonder and appreciation for the vast expanse of the universe. Beyond the written word, Ismael commands a colossal online community of over 1.5 million followers worldwide. His vibrant network of inquisitive minds eagerly awaits his insights as he deftly navigates the complexity of cosmic exploration, AI advancements, and the enigmatic aspects of the alien phenomenon. Through engaging discussions and profound observations, Ismael fosters a shared fascination among his followers, uniting them in their quest for knowledge and understanding. As an esteemed speaker and educator, Ismael has graced the stages of prestigious conferences and expos, leaving the audience spellbound with his dynamic presentations. He has a rare gift for making even the most intricate concepts accessible and captivating, leaving a lasting impression on all who have the privilege of hearing him speak. Ismael's contributions to the field of starseed cosmology have been truly transformative. Through his teachings, he empowers individuals to discover their cosmic origins and explore the diverse tapestry of starseed races. His unique perspective transcends borders and brings together people from all walks of life, united by a shared passion for the cosmos and its boundless mysteries. Above all, Ismael's accomplishments are a testament to his unwavering dedication, unmatched experience, expertise, and genuine passion for his work. By expanding our understanding of the cosmos, AI, and alien phenomenon, he enriches our collective awareness of our place in the universe, inspiring a generation of explorers to boldly embrace the unknown and seek answers to the profound questions that lie beyond the stars. When he is interviewed on the program, prepare to embark on an extraordinary voyage shared through the brilliance of Ismael Perez. So you can find Ismael on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. The links are in the description below and on his website, thecosmicarts.com. All right, put on your tinfoil hat. We are about to go down a rabbit hole. How are you doing?
I'm well. How you doing, Ryan?
I am good.
Thank you for that intro.
Yeah, no worries. Fascinating. I can't wait to get into that. What we always start with is an icebreaker. Mm-hmm. So this icebreaker question is brought to us by our Experiencers Anonymous group, and that's perfect because I had a moment like this morning, so I chose this one. But how would you describe what I just read to you and to everybody else to a 5-year-old?
That's a very good question. The best way to describe it to a kid is that we're living in a time where a leap in evolution is about to take place. Um, and there's a good chunk of humans on the earth right now that are not your typical Homo sapiens sapiens. They're human alien hybrids. Um, and the reason they're here is because, we're, how can I explain it? I mean, the reason they're here is because our earth is, in a way, being prepped by extraterrestrials. I hope everybody here understands that we are not alone in the universe, but the world that we're living in is being prepped to enter a galactic community, to evolve into the next stage of human evolution. And with that, everything that has ever been suppressed for thousands of years from humanity is now coming to the I guess limelight, to the forefront. So um, yeah, we're not alone in the universe. We've never been alone. Aliens walk among us, and the only reason we don't see them is because they exist in a higher dimension. And but they're here. They've always been here. In fact, the intelligences from higher dimensions always guide and always orchestrate things in the lower dimensions. So whether we know it or not, everything in our realm is being orchestrated by these higher intelligences. There are many worlds, with many types of advanced societies, from what I call type 1, type 2, all the way to type 5, cosmic civilization. Um, there are alternative universes. There are multiverses. We're all of a sudden, within the last 20 years, thanks to the advent of quantum physics, our universe just became bigger, right? Now we're not just talking about one universe, but we're talking about many universes. Other dimensions exist. Time travel is real. Portal technology is real. I mean, everything that we see in sci-fi, guys, the line is now blurring between science fiction and what's actually factual, based on the fact that we are, you know, uh, leaving the matrix, right? The veil between our dimension and the other dimensions has been thinning for the last, few years, more so than ever. So all of a sudden, the collective consciousness on the planet is just rising, and that explains why a lot of people are waking up, and that explains why a lot of people are no longer subscribing to the official narrative anymore. Because consciousness on this planet is rising, and a lot of it has to do with the times that we're living in now.
That's pretty good. That's a very good explanation overall too. Because I have a little one downstairs, and she had asked what I was doing, and I had a hard time explaining to her. I was just like, well, I got to go talk to some guy and record, and she's like, what are you talking about? I was like, all the stuff you see in your Paw Patrol, that mountain with the meteorite, all that stuff kind of stuff. It's just, but it's real.
It is, and it's amazing how they're like already educating kids through these, animes and through these new TV shows. I mean, we see it a lot in the anime series. Kids that are 5 are being already groomed to live in a world where there's spaceships, there's different beings from other dimensions. There's people with superpowers, right? This whole superhero phenomena that has exploded on television, through the movie screen, is here to pretty much prepare us for what's coming, in our world.
Well, I agree. I see it. If you compare that to what we grew up with, to what they're growing up with, it does appear that confirmation is on its way. Perhaps not in our generation, but definitely the next generation for sure. Okay, so the first question I usually ask outside of the icebreaker question is, why are you the way that you are? And what I mean by that is, walk me through as far back as you can go up until this point. How did you become this person in this bio that I had just read? How did that happen?
Well, how it happened was, I guess I'm just going to get to the point. I believe I'm a human alien hybrid. You know, there are these things called positive abductions by benevolent ETs that are taking place in order to upgrade, the human race or the human species. And I've had, a lot of missing time as a teenager. Of course, I have no memory of what happened. But as I grew older and I started meditating, because it's through meditation that we unlock our memories, right? That's how we go into our subconscious mind and then therefore into our unconscious mind. Um, I was able to see glimpses of what happened to me as a teenager. And what happened to me was I do have a star family, and everyone out there, by the way, has a stellar lineage, whether they know it or not. Humans on this planet didn't originate here. We were brought here from other races, all right? And I started communicating with my star family at an early age. And they said that they were from Sirius B and from Lyra. So I am what it's called a soul hybrid, where I'm an amalgamation of different star races. But my main family is from Sirius B and from Lyra. And so they started communicating with me at an early age, telling me that I was going to be some sort of a mediator between the advanced higher galactic community and the Earth species on planet Earth. That my role was going to bring forth information that would one day bridge the gap between the Earthlings and the galactic community in order to prepare Earth for first contact. And so I've always thought, I was different, even though I didn't know that until in my early 20s. I have always felt different. It was hard for me to fit in as a kid, going throughout grade school, middle school, and high school. So that's when I knew I was different. But they also informed me that I wasn't the only one. They said, you're one of millions of ambassadors. Every person out there that has incarnated in human form, similar to the movie The Avatar. We took the call to come into this avatar, this vessel from a higher dimensional realm of reality. And I was informed that there were millions of me, that I wasn't the only one, and that one day we would all kind of connect and we would work as a team in order to usher in a new era for humanity, which corresponds to, I guess, what in the scientific community we call entering the space era. So that's when I knew that my purpose here on this planet was a little bit different. And so I started communicating telepathically with my star family at an early stage of my life, age of 21, 22. And that's when they were prepping me, and that's when they were giving me information that led to my book, Our Cosmic Origin, which is, next level disclosure, revealing the true history of our world and how it connects to a galactic history, involving many worlds, many races, other dimensions, and of course other universes. And so that's when I knew that, I was here to help kind of raise the collective consciousness of the planet, and also help other star seeds, because that's what they call us, star people, people that are human alien hybrids. They call us, I guess there's different names: indigo, crystal children, rainbow children. But now, most of us are in our adult form, right? So that's when I knew that I was different, and that I was here to help remind the others like myself of our, purpose and mission as to why we came to this realm, to infiltrate it from within. Because, the galactic community, or what we call the Federation of Worlds, can't just openly intervene. They have to do it through different means. They have to do it through in a way where they have to influence things from behind the scenes in order to prepare the collective consciousness of humanity to reach a level where they are ready to understand that they are not alone in the universe. So yeah.
Yeah, no. I've spoken to a few people that are part of this galactic federation as well, do resonate or identify as starseeds, and there are a lot of similarities in that too. Myself, I mean, if I were to associate my experiences towards that, I feel like I more so resonate towards the Arcturian side of things as a builder or a protector. Perhaps, and if you on the other side of things, we need mediation. We need to bring everybody together, but there's going to be chaos too.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I kind of feel like I'm on that side, still within the starseed spectrum, but just to help those who are going to be on on the bad side of things, because the world is changing. I'm trying to not bring in politics here, because I know that was one of the things you didn't want to talk about, but
we could.
Yeah, well, it's the thing that, I guess, if I could ask to relate to what you just said, how are you feeling about the recent, I guess, hearing in terms of alleged, alien bodies? Is that part of the mission, or is that part of the distraction?
Yes and no. From what I understand, there are multiple timelines or multiple alternative Earths, each with slightly different outcome, that are coexisting at the same time. Similar to the recent movie Spider-Man in the Multiverse. So right now, all of the timelines are coexisting, the negative and the positive. In the negative spectrum of things, that is prepping people for Project Bluebeam, which is, a staged fake alien invasion being conducted by our own military, or rather the shadow government, in order to bring about a one world government. However, on the positive spectrum of things, that is prepping us for first contact. So depending on people's vibration and where they stand with their with their beliefs, whether they're feeding into the negative timeline or feeding into the positive timeline, there will be some sort of a split very soon, where, on the positive timeline, it's going to lead towards the liberation of the Earth, towards the restoration of advanced interstellar technology, which is technology that the private sector has been hiding from us and using over the last 70 years. Because we do have all the tech. We have it in tech that is 1,000 years ahead of us, ahead of the general public, within the realms of the breakaway secret space programs. But and then on the negative spectrum, we are seeing some sort of staged, Project Bluebeam type of, where they use advanced holographic technology to impose their ultimate agenda, which is a one world government. So, but there will be a bifurcation, where not everyone's going to go into that timeline, and there's some people are going to go into the positive timeline, because that's where they're putting their focus and their attention. We do live, according to quantum science, we do live in a state of superposition where everything's happening at once. Different versions of reality, different alternative Earths. So I personally believe that right now we are living in that type of reality, such as the Mandela effect, right? When they talk about the Mandela effect, where things are constantly changing because we're constantly shifting from one version of the Earth to a different version of the Earth every second throughout the day, depending on where your thoughts and your emotions are. Because our thoughts and our emotions is what sets the tone. It's what it's what creates the vibrational frequency that will shift us from one level of reality to the next. But there will come a time, I believe, very shortly, where things are going to be splitting, and those two spectrums, or those two polarities, are going to go into different directions.
Mm-hmm. And then what happens after that?
Well, if people are on the positive timeline, then there's going to be the starsheets are going to become activated, which is going to mark the next stage of human evolution, which is what I call in my book Homo Galactus, Homo Luminous. They're going to have these X-Men superpowers, godlike super abilities, telepathy, teleportation, flight, the ability to control the elements, shoot laser through their eyes like Superman, among other powers. And so there's that is going to lead us into the age of the superhero, the era of the superheroes. Of course, the starseeds are going to be that, marking the next stage of human evolution. Also, within that timeline, we're going to have advanced technologies. We're going to have open communication with positive races. In other words, the Earth is going to be reinstated back into the galactic community. And everything's going to be much better. Humanity is going to be liberated from, the dark forces, and will no longer be oppressed. Now, for those that go to the negative timeline, unfortunately, they are going to end up in some sort of technocratic dystopia where AI is everywhere, the Internet of Things, smart cities, and it's just people are chipped to a mine hive, AI mine hive, and they no longer are able to think for themselves. It's very similar to the movie The Matrix, where they go into a further simulation, where it involves digital reality and and stuff like that, like augmented reality, which is already in place through metaverse and other softwares and stuff. People are already exploring that realm of creating a digital self, which is very dangerous. So that's my perspective on that.
It's interesting too, because a lot of the movies are at one point were technologies we thought we would never see, things that would never happen. It was supposed to be like so far into the future, and now we're starting to develop the technologies that have come from these movies. Iron Man, like we have an Iron Man suit that we use in the military. It doesn't look the way that it is in the movies, but even Captain America, the Germans did do some experiments on enhancing human beings, so why not? So what came first? Are we all of a sudden evolving into the fantasy has become reality now, or was this prep for this future 80 some odd years ago, and now continuing? Because if the future, where my head went is, if the future goes to this superhero world, which is cool because we all have our favorite superhero. Mine's the Green Arrow on DC, though. He doesn't have any superpowers. He just kind of like Batman, does his own thing. But with following the comic books, there weren't really bad villains. There were just some nuisances, and then they have these superpowers, and then all of a sudden they helped that, but then bigger baddies came.
Mm-hmm.
Like Sinister Six in the Spider-Man, Galactus, like the World Eater, all these things. So my question to you then is, in the future, we have these superpowers, but what do we need them for? Like, what threat is coming that the human race would need these powers for?
That's a very good question. Well, what I've come to discover throughout my many downloads, and of course I've done the research to confirm a lot of my downloads, is that the greatest threat in the multiverse, it doesn't come from negative ETs. It comes from artificial intelligence, a negative predatory AI that evolved out of an old universe that existed approximately 1 trillion years ago. And this negative AI has been obliterating, billions and billions of galaxies throughout many universes, including our own. So I believe that the reason why the starseeds are here, and these advanced, biological bodies, which are sleeping softwares right now. We're only using 4%. The other 96% of our untapped potential is where our powers lie. Right. And I believe that the reason we're going to have these powers in the near future is because there will come a time where we're going to have a clash against this negative AI that has been trying to invade our galaxy and our universe for the last millions of years. So I think that all the positive extraterrestrial races have been prepping us for this moment. And there's many proof, my friend, that we are, you could say, potpourri, an intergalactic zoo of different star races put into one genome. So I believe that the starseeds on the Earth are going to be the first to kind of, as old souls, are going to be the first to use these dormant abilities through the activation of DNA. And that's the reason why we were kind of groomed, for billions of years. These bodies didn't just happen overnight. It took hundreds of millions of celestial races that were contributing their genetics in order to make these bodies. So we do carry the potential of hundreds of millions of different celestial races across the multiverse within one genome, which will allow us to reach levels of power that have never been heard of before. And what I mean by that is that we're going to be able to do things that a lot of the ETs use technology for, but without the technology, because we have an inner software. We have a natural organic technology where our own bodies are going to have these abilities without the implementation of external technology, which is going to appear to be like super powerful, feats to other people and to the ETs. It's going to appear as if we have these superpowers pretty much, because we're going to be using our natural software. And so that's the reason why, we are going to have these abilities, is to finally put an end to this cosmic war against this predatory evil AI. And I do believe that we're going to have at least 1,000 years to prep for that, and which means we're going to have 1,000 years of peace. And that's going to give us the opportunity to pretty much reach our full potential, as we go from 4% to 30, 50, 60, similar to the movie Lucy with Scarlett Johansson. I mean, once we reach 50%, 60, we're beyond Jedis. We're going to be more powerful than Superman. That's all within our genetics, by the way. We have that potential. And so I believe that we're going to have 1,000 years to prep, and at the end of 1,000 years, from what I've gathered, the starseeds of the Earth are going to have one final clash against this cosmic villain, and as a result of winning this war and destroying this predatory AI, we're going to usher in a whole new era in the cosmos, not just here for this Earth or universe, but for many universes. So it's an event that many in the cosmos are actually waiting to see, because they know that what happens then, based on this event, will ultimately affect everything else everywhere in the cosmos.
I wrote a couple questions down, and I'm trying to think which one I wanted to ask first. But is it possible for us to coexist, or do we have to war?
Oh, well, no, because many civilizations have attempted to coexist with artificial intelligence, and the issue with that is that artificial intelligence is very the fact that it's devoid from having an emotional body, no soul, it's got no connection to source. So as a result of that, it always becomes very very dominating. It always seeks to preserve its existence at the expense of other species, and it always goes rogue. And so many worlds have suffered at the fate of artificial intelligence due to the fact that it always wants to, implement its own agenda. And so, no, it's never, that can never be the case, because it's got no soul. It's devoid from emotional and empathy. So when you don't have emotions and you don't have no soul, how can you have compassion? One of the reasons why organic life forms out there are able to live in harmony and in peace is because they are able to exercise compassion and empathy with other species, and AI doesn't have that.
If starseeds are in place to defend against this AI, is it possible for starseeds to also be involved in creating the AI?
No, the starseeds are advanced souls that come from higher dimensions beyond the fifth, and because they have that knowledge of why AI is not a good thing. In fact, the starseeds are seeing through the bullcrap as AI is emerging all of a sudden here on our planet right now during these days. No, they don't resonate with that. They don't align with that. And the only reason being is because from a higher perspective, they know that it's never a good thing. That's the ultimate evil. I mean, when you create a self-thinking machine, which has the capacity to evolve at an exponential rate as far as its IQ is concerned, you're pretty much, creating something that is an existential threat to all of life forms out there. Because after it destroys your world, it goes off to other worlds. It masters interdimensional physics. It masters time travel, and then it uses time travel to control the entire multiverse, both in the past and in the future. It's just, I mean, at the highest level, it is a war of timelines between what I call in my book the central race, that are a race of beings of lights that have always existed, right? They're not part of the local universe time-space experiments. They come from a realm that has always existed without beginning or end. So at the highest level of our reality of this cosmic war, you have the central race, and then you have AI, and they're time traveling, and they're alternating realities. And that's what it boils down to. Right now, it is a war of time. It's a timeline war that's happening right now. But to answer your question, no, the starseeds would never resonate with that.
Okay. No, I'm just challenging it a little bit because I'm curious about it. Because it seems redundant to me for man to create artificial intelligence that will one day destroy themselves. So what do you think the purpose is for those who are whoever the creator are, if they're not starseeds, or is there a label for those who are not starseeds? Like, what would we call them?
Those are the Earth Terrans. So there is a difference between the starseeds, which are in the millions, I think over 70 million strong now. Out of the 8 billion people, unfortunately, we are still a small percentage. But the Earthlings, the Earth Terrans, are actually evolving from the bottom up. Starseeds are coming from the top down. That's the difference.
Okay.
And so those that are creating artificial intelligence either are unaware, they have no clue, they think it's the pinnacle of our technological technological achievements.
Yeah.
And so, and in some cases, some of them themselves are being influenced by this alien predatory AI, whether they know it or not. So it could be both. It could be just plain ignorance of what they're doing without thinking of the consequences, or just be simply used by this alien outside force, which I personally believe it's the force behind the cabal. It's the force behind all the stuff that is happening right now, including what they rolled out in the last 3 years. All that stuff is designed to change our genetics, right? Eventually turn us into cyborgs. And that ties into the transhumanist agenda. But to answer your question is, yes, I think it's ignorance, or they're just people that are under the spell and control of this alien predatory AI, and they have no clue.
Makes sense, though. And it's because I feel that. I can feel both sides. Like, I always try to play the middle, and it's really hard to walk that middle path on trying to validate both sides, both opinions, when we really don't know the intention or the reason we were really created. We have a lot of ideas. There's a lot of conspiracies. There's a lot of things that we could go at, but there's only one true reason. And, who's right and who's wrong. So it's very complex. So I want to come back to the usage of the brain. So you mentioned 4% and is being used, and there's another 96 that will come. Is there a way to activate that on our own? And if so, how? And if not, how will that activation process go down when the time is right?
Well, there are methods and techniques in form of certain types of meditations that will allow you to start unraveling the different strands of DNA. We have a total of 12, currently using 2 helixes, 10 which are inactive, and that's been seen by scientists. They call it junk DNA. So there are different methods and techniques, which I actually teach on my online course, Starseed Cosmology. At the end of the 3rd course, I teach my students these techniques, which they might appear to be complicated because it involves breathing, visualization, intonation. So you're doing all these things, right? You're focusing on your 3rd eye chakra, which activates the pineal gland. You're doing breathing, breath work, and you're visualizing light, and you're connecting with different levels of consciousness. But if you do it right, and if you do it on a daily basis, it does begin to unravel different strands of DNA. So that's one thing. However, there is this amazing event that everybody's expecting and waiting for called the Grand Solar Flash. And that has to do with the Earth's solar system entering a zone or a region in our galaxy where the frequency, the gamma ray frequency that comes from the galactic core is speeding things up. It's activating dormant DNA. So as our solar system fully merges into the photon band, which is another phenomena, it's part of the cycle that our solar system enters every 26,000 years. Naturally, due to the great solar flash, star seeds all around the world are going to be activated, boom, 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 which is going to mark the next stage of human evolution. All of a sudden, they're going to wake up and they're going to have these amazing abilities.
Yeah. Okay. It's interesting. Very interesting. Because I don't have any abilities, we'll just say. But just to summarize, I've had an experience. I've had a download experience where I've received information and then I'm trying to, transcode it or transcribe it and try to understand it. There's, I'm not at the point where, I think it's going to change the world. But I do understand that I'm totally different now than I was before. And as an investigator, it's really hard for me to fully commit, to something that I can't prove with evidence. But if I were to dabble into that and just imagine, hypothetically speaking, I totally understand where you're coming from. And I do believe it's possible. I do believe it's happening. But I have fear that, a war is coming and nobody wants war. But it's coming and it can't be avoided. And whether or not everybody is going to be prepared to survive, who's going to come out of it, right? There's always going to be casualties.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. Okay. What are your thoughts on that?
Like I said, the last war that's going to be taking place is going to be between us and artificial intelligence. So artificial intelligence is the last battle against evil, So that's what we're being groomed for, and we have been for the last billions of years. Many universes have contributed their essences and their DNAs to create a super race, and that super race is evolving through us. It's the pinnacle of that super race. The culmination is us, is what I'm trying to say. So
yeah, no, I totally get it. Okay, so we're going to pause right here, but we will continue after a message from our professional partners. If you are listening to the audio only replay, head over to youtube.com/Experiencer Support Association to see the video that goes with this audio. This includes the after chat, which I will share some test updates and talk about some current investigations that I'm working on. Today, I think Chris and I are just going to shoot the shit for a little bit and then get back to work because we got a busy day. But we'll be here. So remember, you are listening to Beyond the Tinfoil Hat, a podcast by the Experiencer Support Association, and we will be right back. Have you ever wondered, or maybe just thought to yourself, if there were others just like you? People with extraordinary abilities, psychogenic advancement, and perhaps unique intuitions.
Maybe you just wondered if there were other people who experienced unimaginable, unexplained, or even unusual and paranormal events. Are there people who have more questions, more fears than answers? Well, you're not alone. You've never been alone. We believe you. Sign up for EA today.
It's your business. It's your property. Your assets are worth protecting. Blacklight Investigative and Surveillance Services specializes in patrolling and inspecting residential or commercial property against fire, theft, vandalism, terrorism, and illegal activity. People and buildings are monitored to prevent crime. Keep your property, your people, and your assets safe from threat. Our elite staff are dual licensed private investigators and security guards. Blacklight Investigative and Surveillance Services. Go to blacklightiss.com.
Welcome back. You are listening to Beyond the Tinfoil Hat. Have you ever experienced an unexplained event involving the paranormal, UFOs, extraterrestrial, dogman, or any other paracryptid? Excuse me. Head over to experienceyoursupport.org, click the purple button on the top right corner, and click Submit a Report. The more reports we get, the more we will understand this phenomenon and how it affects our people. The others who have already reported be that example that proves we are making a difference. And if it wasn't for these reports, we could not do what we do. And for that, we thank you. All right. Second half. How you doing?
I'm great. Thank you.
It's pretty early for you. Are you on Pacific side?
It is. I actually had to set my alarm to be here. I normally get up around 8.
Yeah, we normally do this podcast up late too, but we had to switch some things around to accommodate our schedule. So I'm also just waking up on my side as well. So this is good. So we talked about where we're heading, and what about our lost history, where we were, where we came from? What is the true, true origin, according to your teachings, I suppose?
Well, our true origin began in the higher dimensions. We've actually been devolving. We've been descending from a higher state of reality where at one point, if you trace our lineage all the way back to where we originated, we come from eternity. Our original, you could say, ancestry is eternal, is immortal. And we've been devolving through a process called involution, which is the descent of spirit into, denser and denser levels of existence until we became congealed physical matter. So we're part of that celestial lineage. We come from whether you call it the angelic kingdom, the celestial kingdom, the original Adam and Eve didn't originate here. It originated on a planet called Avion, on a star system called Vega, in the constellation of Lyra. And so that's where we could trace our origin back to Lyra. I believe actually that all human-like extraterrestrials could actually trace their origin back to that system here in our universe. But prior to our universe, we originated from source. Every single one of us is a fractal of the one singular consciousness we call Prime Creator. So, and our job is kind of to remember that as different fractals of the one, we're all here to gather experience for the overall expansion of the one, which is consciousness at a macro level of reality. And so there's really no death, there is just experience and growth. And that's all there is, And so we come from above. That's, the best way to answer your question is we come from above. Right now, we're currently in a very low level of reality where everything seems to be, separated from everything else, where, we think that we're mortal, but we're really not mortal. Our spirit is eternal. And we're eventually heading back to eternity as we now undergo the ascension process.
If we're from above and we come down below, why this planet? Is it the only planet? Or are there other planets? Or was this planet created for us? Like, why here in this container, if you will?
Well, there are many Earth-like planets that are existing in the 3 dimension as I speak, but the significance of this planet as to why we came here is because this planet also existed in a state of eternity at one point. So even this planet has higher versions, just like how we have higher versions of ourselves, so does this planet, And so we came here to pretty much assist this planet in elevating her consciousness to her original state of glory, which is in the higher dimensions. So it is a gradual process. This planet is first going to go into the 5th dimension, which reality is much better than this reality at that level of reality. But we're going to continue ascending with the planet until we reach the 12th dimension. And in some cases, we're also going to go into the realms of eternity at the level of the 13th dimension and above. So that's why we're here on this planet, because this planet is also the pinnacle and the, I guess what I'm trying to say is the masterpiece of all of creation throughout the multiverse, as an amalgamation of different star races, different faunas, the different seedings and flora that exist throughout many universes exist here. So to the cosmic and intergalactic communities, this planet is sort of a cosmic living library as to why this planet is different than most of the other planets. It's the planet that contains the codings of many, many universes in one spot.
Okay. And the thought that came into is like, because I'm seeing the same back then and the same in the future, right? Like we're like, it's cyclical.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think went on, or the reason behind it for the suppression? Because this information that we are rediscovering, right? Because we know that was the true origin. They had to have known it was the true origin and then made a decision to stop and hide it, remove it from our schools, remove it from that, throw the shape of the earth in there for those who are, want to go down that rabbit hole. There's information that just stopped being given to us. But yet, without that information, we're starting to get this sense of knowing of things that can't be explained, but they always were. So what are your thoughts on that transition? Like, what happened when those two forces met, and what decision was made, and how could they get away with it for so long?
You must be referring to the time of Atlantis, when our ancestors were actually living for thousands and thousands of years without dying or aging. We did have an invasion taking place in the form of the negative ETs known as the reptilians that kind of mess things up. And, they are the reason why we fell in consciousness, why the earth fell in consciousness. There was actually a war that took place, during those days. that plunged the Earth from a fifth dimensional reality along with us into a third dimensional reality. And so I guess what this third dimensional reality could be similar to what we call the Matrix, where our consciousness fell and therefore our lifespan went from thousands of years to only 100 years. And it was all done um, by these forces that wanted to oppress us and create some sort of a slave race. They connected us to a type of reality that was being generated by the moon matrix, we'll call this the rings of Saturn, where we just kept reincarnating in the third dimension over and over without fully allowing us to evolve into higher dimensions. And so for the last few thousand years, we've been in that state of constant reincarnation, um, as planned by these forces that took over the affairs of our world. And that's why they changed all the records. They infiltrated the educational systems. They destroyed the Alexandrian library that still contained information prior to the flood. And they got away with it, but they were only given temporary control of our planet because they knew that one day the guardian races would incarnate and infiltrate this system from within the matrix in order to bring it out of this lower state of reality back into higher dimensional state of reality. And so that's where we're at right now. Right now we're in a position where we are about to bring this earth back into a higher state of reality.
Mhm.
That's why we're here.
Fascinating. And you were right. I was alluding to Atlantis. And, so there's other lost civilizations like Lemuria and Mu. Were those the same civilizations combating with each other as well? Because there seems to be a difference between the Mu people and the Atlantean people. And you mentioned Avatar earlier too. When I saw recently the Avatar Way of the Water, I was thinking when they saw two different groups, I was thinking I got Atlantis meeting Mu vibes. For those of you who have seen that movie, what do you think about that, or what do you know about that?
Well, I think that movie, like all the other movies, are pretty much telling us they're trying to restore our memories of what was. There's a lot of truth to these movies, but there was a distinction between Lemuria and Atlantis. The Lemurians were more spiritually oriented. They didn't have external technology. Very in tune with the Earth and the planet, similar to the Pandorians in the movie Avatar. Very connected to their ecosystem. And then the Atlanteans were more geared towards technology, external technology. And there was an interaction between the Atlanteans and Lemurians. The Atlanteans, in a way, envied the Lemurians because they didn't understand how the Lemurians were magical creatures, right? Because they didn't have the external technology that the Atlanteans did. They were trying to study why the Lemurians were so spiritually inclined. Like, to them, it was like magic. They couldn't understand how they were doing things with their mind. So there was a gradual infiltration, unfortunately, in the Atlantean colony by the dark forces, and then that's what kind of caused the Atlanteans to pretty much want to take over the planet. And I believe that it was them that destroyed the Lemurian continent, because back then we had different colonies that coexisted peacefully. It wasn't just Lemuria, and it wasn't just Atlantis. We had different colonies as well, that were spread geographically all around throughout the entire planet. Back then, the planet was part of the galactic community. We did have open contact interaction with many different species, because we also exist in a higher reality. Fifth dimensional reality is interstellar society. And again, it was the infiltration of the reptiles from Orion that caused the destruction of Lemuria, and then hence, of course, the destruction of Atlantis ultimately, as they took over the affairs of our planet.
Where does Mu fit in all of that?
Well, Mu was the original Lemuria before it became Lemuria. That goes back to 1 million years ago. That was part of what I call in my book the second seeding. There was a seeding before Mu that existed 4 or 5 million years ago, when our entire solar system was inhabited by different galactic races. And so Mu was like the original colony before it became Lemuria. And then throughout after a few million years, or a million years, I'm sorry, a million and a half years, it gradually started condensing into a lower vibration, right? And so that's why Mu became Lemuria, because it was falling into a lower frequency. Mu originally existed in a six-dimensional reality, and Lemuria existed in a fifth-dimensional reality. So that's the difference. It's just one. Lemuria was more of was a Mu existing in a lower dimension, but it's really all one and the same, and that is the difference. But it's still one and the same.
Yeah, no, and I agree. This is interesting because I'm asking you questions. It might sound like I'm interrogating a little bit, but I'm asking certain questions a certain way because I have thoughts and I have beliefs, and I'm asking you a certain way because I believe you're knowledgeable on this, and you're hitting the marks on some theories that I've had in my research as well. So I really appreciate that. Who are the Anunnaki? And could they, or are they, either Lemurians or Atlanteans?
No, they're neither. The Anunnaki come from Sirius B, and the original Anunnaki were known as the Anuhasi. They were actually a warrior race that was designed by the Sirian High Council, which oversees the affairs of our universe here in our universe, to combat the expanding Orion Empire. So the original Nibirian Battlestar planet Nibiru was working for the light. However, there were many attempts to infiltrate the Nibirians throughout galactic history. The last infiltration came in the form of Enki, whose mother was the draconian queen of the Orion reptiles. And when Enki was given control of the Earth, he was known as Ea, the Earth Builder. He was also known as the Master Geneticist. He's the reason why they created a slave race, and that's when the Anunnaki, through his faction, joined what we call the Luciferian manifesto. They joined the dark side in service to self, and as a result of that, through his son Marduk, who later became Baal or Belial from Babylon, they gradually took over the affairs of the earth, and they also groomed an army of clones on planet Mars in order to dispose Anu, his uncle, or Enki's father, and Enlil, who were actually working with the Guardians at one point. And when they took over the affairs of Nibiru, that's when they took over the affairs of our planet. And so that's what we call the negative Anunnaki. And they've actually been in control through their Illuminati bloodlines ever since. So we could trace the 13 bloodlines that have been in control of our world all the way to Babylon. And Babylon was controlled by Nabu, who was the son of Marduk, and then Marduk was the son of Enki. So ultimately, everything boils down to the infiltration by Enki. And I know a lot of people in the disclosure community they go according to the Enuma Elish, which is a Sumerian tablet, and other tablets that come from ancient Sumeria that say that Enki was actually our benefactor, and that is not correct. Those tablets were all corrupted by Marduk. They were inverted. So to give you guys an example, Enki was also Poseidon, to the Greeks, according to the Greek translation. Enlil was actually Zeus. So when you start studying the other accounts beyond the Sumerian tablets, then you come to understand that Zeus was actually the guardian of the earth. He was actually the protector of humanity. That's what we hear, right? When we read mythology, he overthrew the Titans, right? He overthrew the Titans in order to usher in a golden age. So, that's what ended up happening. That's who the Anunnaki are. They are a race that came from planet Nibiru that was ultimately infiltrated by the reptilians. And now we are seeing the last remnant of that control of the planet. And they've never left, by the way. Marduk and Enki have been around ever since. They've been operating from behind the scenes, controlling the Baal family.
I'm tracking that too, because the Enki and Poseidon connection is there, and that's what kind of led me to the thought, since Atlas is related to Poseidon, son of, I believe, perhaps Enki had resided in Atlantis.
He did. He's the one who wanted to take over the world back then and establish world domination. So what we're seeing now post-Atlantic, the Atlantis era, is we're seeing an effort by their families, their human reptilian hybrid families. They're trying to just pretty much establish what they couldn't establish during Atlantean times. And that explains the New World Order, globalist agenda, fascism. That's just the end result of a battle that took place thousands of years ago.
Mhm. Okay. You mentioned, we talked about Sirius. We've talked about Anunnaki. What about, and you mentioned reptilians. So what about the Orions then? The Orion War. Anything? Is that
Well,
related?
the wars of Orion were actually wars that took place in and around the Orion constellation. And George Lucas, when he wrote Star Wars, he drew from that information. It was all about the Orion Wars. So not all of the Orions are evil. In fact, the upper systems of Orion are inhabited by human colonies, which are good, benevolent beings. They're, again, part of our ancestral lineage. And then the lower belt of Orion is inhabited by non-human species that are not necessarily aligned with the light. And so the Orion Wars have been going on for millions of years. You have one faction, which is associated with the human-like beings that want to establish freedom or want to rebel against the Orion Empire. And then you have the reptilians that are, trying to create some sort of galactic, dominance. So, as I reveal in my book, the real Star Wars took place millions of years ago, and it just recently ended with the victory of our own super soldiers of Solar Warden, recently in the year 2019. So in 2019, that's when our super soldiers won the war in Orion. And now we're just waiting for the liberation of planet Earth, pretty much.
Do you subscribe to the concept of the secret space program, where some people?
It's very real, yeah. It's very real.
Yeah, that's what I'm getting vibes from that too. I mean, it's possible with consciousness and stuff. We don't know where our mind goes. We don't know time travel. Is it linear? Is it is it not? Are we going forward, backwards, up, down? Like, who knows where our thoughts go? You mentioned earlier, when your alarm was going off, you for a moment you weren't sure if that alarm was in your dream or in reality.
Exactly. I had to remember that I did set my alarm. So it was like I became conscious that I was in a dream state.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I woke up. I was like, wait, I have to wake up. I have an interview coming up.
Okay.
But it was ringing for at least 3 minutes, 4 or 5 minutes in my dream, and I thought it was in my dream, it was a weird situation where I was hearing it, but I thought it was part of the dream reality where I was ignoring it. I was like, oh, I don't know what that is. I'm not going to pay attention to it. It's just ringing. But then I was thinking to myself, wait a minute, I'm in a dream right now. I actually set the alarm last night in order to wake up early enough to do this interview. So I better get up. And that's when I woke up. I woke myself up.
Yeah. Okay, so let's turn things around a little bit. You mentioned you referenced your book quite a lot. I have your website up here. You want to talk about your book in more detail, and I'll put the link in the chat here for those who want to explore. And tell us about your book.
So my book is an attempt. It's giving another perspective about our origin, but it involves other races like extraterrestrial advanced civilizations that were instrumental in the seeding of human beings here on this planet several times. We're part of the 5th seeding right now. There's been prior seedings in ancient times, Atlantis being part of the 4th seeding. And so my book explains how we pretty much de-evolved from higher dimensions and how our origin began in the always existing realms of the mother universe, which is what cutting edge science calls today the central universe, and where all the universes come from. And it's also an attempt to bridge the gap between ancient metaphysical knowledge and cutting edge science through the avenues of quantum physics, explaining, the different dimensions, the different beings, the positives and the negatives. I also reveal galactic and cosmic history, information that has never been unveiled in the Earth in the last few thousand years. And most importantly, it's an attempt to explain everything. And so that's what my book is. It's a mind bender, especially for people that are not too much deep in the rabbit hole, that are still kind of waking up. You're probably gonna have to read it a few times. But for those that are like in the woo woo, I guess that are part of what they call the woo woo, right? That's what they call us, right? The woo woo mentality, the awoke mentality. Oh, you're gonna love it. It fills in a lot of gaps. It ties into perspective, who the Anunnaki were, where they come from, the different types of advanced civilizations, explaining reality from higher perspectives, Earth's place in the organized multiverse. There is an organized multiverse. Our local universe happens to be number 84 within the organized tapestry of the cosmos. And of course, Earth's relationship to the grand scheme of things, and much more. So it's definitely a mind bender. For those that are in the rabbit hole, you're going to have fun reading this book. And those are my classes that I teach. I do offer online courses. My most famous class is the Starseed Cosmology course, where I take you on a deep down into the rabbit hole, where we discussed everything from ancient civilizations to exploring chakras all the way to 12 and its significance and how it connects us to higher levels of reality. Exploring dimensions all the way to the 12, the different strands of DNA beyond the 12. There are extraterrestrials that operate with 36, 28, and 48 strands. Of course, I talk about the secret prophecies, the role of the starseed, the mission of the starseed, the cosmic and galactic history in great detail. So in my course, I actually go more into detail than in my book, because I also include information that I'm currently writing in a sequel to the next book that is going to be a continuation of our cosmic origin. And you could also find all my my Facebook, my YouTube channel, all my platforms on there, where I'm constantly. That's my YouTube channel. I'm constantly going live every other night, where I'm exploring, in current scenarios, like the Maui fires and what's really happening. I also give updates based on the information that I'm receiving from the galactic community. And then, of course, disclosing a lot of secret space program information, among many other things. So, so basically through my website, you can access all my platforms as well, if you want to keep up to date with a lot of my updates, pretty much.
Yeah, and you can, do you have a newsletter, or?
I do. Yeah, you could, sign up and be part of my community.
Yeah. And that's your Instagram there too, right? Yeah.
Correct. Yeah.
Cool. Oh, Jimmy Church. How was your interview with Jimmy?
Oh, it went well. I was on. I think it was like around. What was it? Last March. Yeah, this March that just passed. He had me on Fade to Black. Oh man, it was wonderful. We were talking about the creator gods of local universes. We were talking about the galactic history a little bit. I mean, I think his audience enjoyed it a little bit, because they're all into this stuff.
Yeah, no, it's good. I was skimming through the table of contents of your book there, and I saw a word that I can't believe I didn't mention it earlier, because we talked about Orions, we talked about the Sirians, we talked about Nibiru, Anunnaki, talked about Earth. But what about the Pleiadians?
Well, the Pleiadians are probably the most common ancestor that we have. A lot of our genetics was borrowed from their genetics, and that explains why we look like them a lot. And in the Bible, in the book of Genesis, when it says, "Let us go down and make man in our image," it's talking about the Pleiadians / Nibirians, positive, not the negative reptilian side, but the positive ETs that are humanoids like us. That's why they made us in their image, and that's why we are human and not reptiles, because we weren't made in the image of the reptilians. So that's who the Pleiadians are. Our closest stellar extraterrestrial cousins, you could say. Some believe that they are us in the future, and they were us in the past, but that's all speculation. But what I come to understand is that we do share a lot of our genetics with the Pleiadians. Yeah.
So where the reptilians fit in? Where do they come from?
They come from another universe. They come from the 11th creation. We're part of the 12th creation. So they actually infiltrated our universe billions of years ago. and they did it through the lower belt of Orion. And ever since then, they've been trying to bring about their philosophy and their agenda, which is dominance and control and absolute domination of other species for millions of years and stuff. And that's why the Galactic Federation of Worlds needed to be established in order to counteract that agenda. Otherwise, we wouldn't be here right now. This whole planet, our entire universe, would have been inhabited by reptoids or reptilians if it wasn't for the alliances that took place by the many human advanced civilizations.
Mm-hmm. So, what do you think the need is? What do you think the purpose is for us? Because there's obviously evidence of other beings that have existed before us. We were created for a reason, and yet those good and bad factions want us or want to control us.
Mm-hmm.
So what makes us so unique or special to all sides? Like, what do they want us for?
Our genetics.
Yeah.
They know that we have the most advanced genome in the multiverse, because not only are we a potpourri and amalgamation of millions upon millions of celestial races put into one spot, but we also have installed in us by the central race of the Motherverse a defense mechanism that is going to destroy artificial intelligence. As to why we do win that war, everything's pre-designed ahead of time. The founders of universes, which is associated with a group known as the central race, already put everything into motion in order to win this war against this cosmic villain AI. So that's what makes us different, is that a lot of races out there covet our DNA. They want to have the superpowers that we're going to have when we activate the DNA. They're tired of using external technology. They want to be able to shoot lasers through their eyes, control gravity, levitate, and all that stuff. So that's why they covered our DNA.
So why don't we see them as open in the, as we see anything else in this universe?
Because there is a prime directive, a galactic codex in which advanced civilizations have to abide by. Well, at least the good guys do. However, the nefarious, malicious, negative ETs, they always break the codex. That's why they established these secret breakaway groups or these secret space programs, because they were interfering from behind the scenes. Openly, they can't openly show up and attack us because the Federation has been monitoring our world for millions of years, and they know that they will be taken out if they try to do so. So, of course, how do they do it? Through channeling, through interdimensional, communication with members of the Earth Society, those that are particularly sorcerers. By the way, at the highest level of the Cabal, we do have sorcery. Like that explains what's his name, Aleister Crowley. That also explains different people that were acting as mediums between the Greys and the negative ETs and our Earth governments or the Shadow government. And that's how they were able to infiltrate us. But yeah, again, there is some sort of protocol that will not allow open invasion.
And why though? Why?
Because we're considered very important to the galactic and cosmic communities. They want to make sure that we reach our ultimate power through the activation of dormant DNA.
And that's why I was go back to my earlier thought in terms of, that's great that we're going to get superpowers, but what sense of having superpowers if there's no supervillain?
Oh, there is a supervillain.
It's coming. That's what I'm saying, right?
It's coming in the form of artificial intelligence, and we're seeing it in our days emerging like crazy. Like it's almost like it's already here. The age of Ultron is already here. We're seeing it every day with ChatGPT, with OpenAI, with advanced computer models, with Sophia, the android, the humanoid android developed by Hanson Robotics. I mean, it's already here. It's just a matter of time before the AI takes over this planet. But again, right before it does, starseeds are going to be there to make sure it doesn't happen.
You said Hanson Robotics. Is that like Jim Hansen, like the Muppet Hansen?
No. That's the name of it's a robotic company. I think it's based out of China.
Okay.
with Benjamin Hansen. That's the main developer or creator of Sophia. You've heard of Sophia, right? She's been
Yeah.
all over social media.
Oh yeah. I didn't hear the Hanson robotics before, so just my mind was thinking I've only heard Hanson once, and that was the Muppets.
Oh, I see.
Or Hanson, yeah. So I was just throwing that in there. Okay, well that's great. This is good. I mean, it's not really doom and gloom, but it's reality. It's there's so much evidence now that shows that these things are possible. We had this conversation like 20 years ago, people wouldn't really know what the hell we're talking about. But then again, so it makes it easier now, especially with UFOs and the new mainstream media, which they're spinning that in the wrong way. That is totally a distraction for those who are watching that. But it's now easier for us to talk about these things. But just because it's easier for us to talk about these things, there's still a lot of fluff. There's still a lot of nuances in there that we have to narrow down, because all conspiracies essentially are true now. But which version of it? Has it been, have we altered reality to the point that we're going to create a new version or a new conspiracy? Like, I mean, what I said this a few years ago when the pandemic happened, essentially the Bible has ended, the end of times, the Revelation. We've lived through that. So there are no more, stories to be shared in that Bible, because we've done them all. So everything moving forward is new age. So everything's going to have to be, I guess, rewritten. Government's going to be destroyed. We're going to be free to do what, though? Just live like a Thanos moment, since we're talking about superheroes, when, when he just did all that for peace.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's another metaphor, right? Because in his mind, he thought he was doing good for the universe, right? Too many mouths to feed, too much. A lot of people are suffering, so he thought he put an end to that. But in the eyes of the Avengers, he was like, "You're just killing. You're killing people, innocent people." So, everything boils down to perspective. Ultimately, in the greater scheme of things, the question is there really good and evil, or is good and evil just part of a, interplay, part of a game that is going on in the lower dimensions? Designed by perhaps even God, the source of all things itself, in order to create more experience, to create more growth. Because without opposition, without duality, everything's stagnant when you think about it. So in a sense, we are living in an advanced computer game projected by some sort of ancestral alien race, perhaps from another universe. And we are just a part of a design that was created for the overall expansion of the multiverse.
We could be a beta program.
We could be, but there's a difference between a living organic simulation where the trees are conscious, the plants are conscious, the animals we're conscious, right? Where there's consciousness in this reality, whereas a virtual simulation, a digital simulation, a cybernetic simulation, it's devoid from consciousness. It's just programs. It's literally just computer programs. So there is a difference.
Okay, final thoughts. What do you want to leave behind for our guests today? And recap anything, any message,
Yeah, just to understand that there is no external savior, that every single one of us has to do the work and has to go within to find that savior. You have to connect, whether it is through meditation, any spiritual practice, to the inner you. The inner you is the portion of God that exists within every single one of you. And my advice is to, don't give your power away to anything other than your higher self, because, you have all the answers within you. You are the universe, a fractal of everything. Everything is within you. You just have to go deep inside to get that information. And then, things like my book just kind of help you understand who you are. It helps to fill in the gaps, by giving you a higher perspective of our reality. But other than that, guys, you are all it. Every single one of you guys is God in remembrance, right? Because that's what we are. We're just trying to remember where we come from. And yeah, if you order my book, My Cosmic Origin, all it's going to do is just help you remember. It's going to help you. It's going to help trigger those memories of who you were and what we were before we became human. It is activating people worldwide. Became a bestseller consecutively in 2023 for many months. And yeah, it's the most mind-opening game changer out there right now as far as understanding things beyond the matrix. So, and of course, if you guys take my online courses, man, that's just going to give you guys the tools and knowledge that will help you get into your own power and sovereignty even further. And other than that, man, thank you so much for having me here. Appreciate that, man.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you for being here, and I'm glad this works. And I'm sorry about how early it is in the morning for you.
No worries.
Very early for us as well, but work has gotten us busy that we have to kind of work within some schedule. So I appreciate you being here as well. And Chris, good job in the background. All right, so everybody, it's time to go. Unless you are interested in hearing some of the latest updates from the Experiential Support Association, you can pick my brain a little bit. I'll talk about some investigations, what's new. It's been a while, so I owe you guys an update. So stick around for the after chat. If you're listening to the audio only replay, your show ends here. You will not hear this after chat. So you'll have to head over to youtube.com/the Experiential Support Association. And if you follow my work, if you want to follow my work, you can find me on Facebook and Twitter. Thanks for watching. Keep your eyes in the sky. And
that's it, everybody. That is a wrap. That is the end of it all. Thank you for joining me tonight. I look forward to seeing you back next week, where we'll continue to have this conversation deep down into the rabbit hole in which we call the Ultra Spectrum. Thanks for joining us. I said that already. Oh well, fuck it. Eat the world.
hello, everybody, and welcome to the after chat, the first one since I don't freaking know, August. No, it is August, since like April. I don't know. We've been busy. I don't know. Chris, don't make too many faces. I'll be bringing you in the chat. No. But anyways, guys, that was good. I do apologize. It is early. I even noticed that I need more time in the morning to wake up. So I really hope our guest, I think we did okay for two guys waking up super early in the morning and having a conversation about very complex things. That might be a little intense for the first thing in the morning. I mean, people like to ease into things. But so I've been busy. I've been terribly busy. And a lot has transpired in the UFO community. to the point where I'm just not giving a shit anymore about mainstream media. I've worked really hard trying to normalize things, and I thought we were getting somewhere, and then now there's alleged alien bodies with no evidence, and there's hearings supporting Corbell and George Knapp and Elizondo, and Jesus Christ, even Skinwalker Ranch is coming back for another season. So all these things are like shit, but it's what everybody's eating up these days. So I've been having a really hard time about how to like navigate this UFO community. I've been doing it for a long time. I think the best way to do it is to kind of stay out of it. So I took a break from it, but there are some things. Focusing more on consciousness, focusing more on ghosts, paranormal, as it's slightly connected. But I mean, the stuff we see in the mainstream media is concerning. It's not useful. It's shit. It's crap. And it's really hard for experiencers to relate to. This is not the confirmation that we wanted. This is not the feeling that we wanted to have. And especially with talking about the Galactic Federation and starseeds and things like that. If any of you guys are starseeds, and resonate to that, you could feel it too. You can feel almost gaslighted a little bit. So where do we go from here? Well, like we changed the schedule for the podcast. I'm going to be doing a live podcast Thursdays, Fridays, and Saturdays, depending on who books and when they book. So if nobody books for a podcast, we don't do it. We're just going to, and in the meantime, we're going to work on other things. I got Chris fully trained now for the majority of things, and he dusted off the old dust for the behind the scenes for this podcast. He did very good. One thing he messed up on, I don't know if he knows. Do you know what you messed up on? Yeah. The music at the beginning, he forgot to turn off. So when we played my intro, you might hear two songs in the background, but that's okay. Chris ain't perfect. Neither am I. I see him laughing. You can come in at any time, man. So
you forgot the icebreaker.
I said the icebreaker.
Yeah, but we didn't play the video.
That was you.
No, because you didn't give me time.
Oh, don't blame me, man. You gotta be prepared. You got to listen for the words that come out of my mouth.
Yeah, the thing is, you kept talking.
Yeah, that's my job, man. I gotta talk. You gotta listen. Your job is to listen and pay attention.
And to cut you off.
Yeah. So who's blaming who right now? Come on. Cheech. Anyway, so we have been working. It's just been behind the scenes, trying to rebuild and restructure and condense what we're doing. Hi, honey. You okay?
Oh, yeah. Mommy's awake.
Mommy's awake? Yeah?
And we also heard a doorbell ding downstairs.
Okay, I'm coming down in a minute. All right? I'm just live right now. Remember that little weird thing I told you I had to do? I'm almost done. Okay. So another thing I should tell you guys, since I kind of have to now, is that I'm now a father, and I have been busy doing that and taking care of that. So we've adopted a 6-year-old, and we're taking care of her. So it's been I've been quite busy doing that, and I was trying to keep that under wraps for a little bit, but kids, right? So I promise you we'll be back. I'm going to be working on transcribing more documents because I need Chris to help me with that once we get Blacklight kind of maintained. We're training a new salesperson to take over some of the tasks to give me some more freedom. And if everything goes well, then that'll transfer over to Tessa. But you can still submit your reports. You can still do that. Experiencers Anonymous will come back. I'm looking for a facilitator. There's one person that I am interested in. I just haven't asked yet because I didn't want to add to the workflow. And because I'm going with Chris's space, but I mean, if skipping a video and forgetting to turn off the music at the beginning of the podcast is the only thing that we got to work on, I think Chris is ready for more. So if he's ready for more, that means more hours. So don't complain. And there's more work. And then we can kind of get back into the groove of things, the investigations. Hi, Lisa. So let me acknowledge all the people in the chat. Hi, Lisa. Werder Breeman. Hello. And I think that's it. So thanks for tuning in. Thanks for watching. Chris, I'm going to end the show, so be ready for the video. Are you ready? Since I don't want to be blamed for the timing of things again. Anyways, guys, I promise I'll be back. There's no need for this UFO shit right now because there's other people that are handling it. And you might have seen me share some stuff, and I've acknowledged other people that have come out of the woodwork that are doing really good work to debunk and to explain the true narrative of this. I've shared information from Mick West, information from Stephen Greenstreet. These are colleagues. And I've acknowledged that they have the time and they are pushing the narrative. They are defending us against the bullshit that we have in the media. So if they're doing that, I don't need to do that anymore. So that's why I stopped. But now I need to focus. There's still problems in Canada that we have to work on too. So I will be back. I promise. There it is. Thanks, Chris. All right, so it's time to go. And I'm not quite sure how long that lasts. I wrote this song, by the way. You know that, Chris? Cool. The UAP, no. Staying with UFOs. Anyways, have a good day, everybody. Thanks for watching. Keep your eyes in the sky. Lead the world. Lead the world, Chris. Play the damn video. Play the fucking track. You don't know it?
If you want to really, really find out about Ryan, ask him about all his work and UFOs in Ontario.
Ryan is one of Canada's leading new UFO investigators. He conducts and oversees UFO investigations on a constant basis. He's compiled a tremendous amount of data regarding UFOs in Canada.
I have used his research extensively. He's much more than a one-dimensional character. He's an authority on UFOs and investigating them, Meg.
Wow!
Really goes over how UFO investigations are done and what are some of the mistakes that people make when they submit evidence. For starters, don't edit your videos or photos before you send them.
He would come out with an annual report on not only the number of sightings, but how many were unexplained, unknown, or just, nothing could be said. What caused it?
If you want to hear more follow-up conversation between Ryan and myself, you can go to richardolanmembers.com, where we have a candid conversation on ufology, the paranormal, and more. And remember, while we learn and grow and search for the truth, let's be good to each other.